Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Failed Journalist, and today I want to talk a little bit about AMC, specifically AMC and their business decisions, or lack therefore of business decisions during the COVID-19 crisis. Now, of course, COVID-19 is unlike anything the world has ever seen before. Like, we have never faced a virus that spread so easily, so quickly, and was really almost insidiously stealthy as this COVID-19 novel coronavirus. Many businesses have been extremely hurt by the actions that have needed to be taken to slow the bleeding, slow the virus. Many businesses will never come back. Mom and pop shops will certainly be hurt. And even the entire movie industry, of which we like to talk about quite frequently on this channel, is in a certain sense of danger, with major movies going straight to video on demand, bypassing the theaters altogether. And in some cases, movie theaters like AMC even making deals that, short term it might infuse them with some cash, but in the long term might be doing them more harm than good. And look, you don't want to get too hard on the movie theaters case. After all, they had to shut down, and in fact, even to the day as of the recording of this video, many movie theaters are not allowed to reopen because governors still consider them high risk and, not really worth it, even though other industries like gyms and stuff have actually been deemed okay by some of these governors. For some reason, movie theaters are still being told, for the most part, no, you have to stay closed. You're not worth the risk. And certainly that's a bad hand to be dealt. But I have to wonder, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit, did AMC truly do everything they could to not necessarily make money? I think we can all agree there wasn't a whole lot of making money these last several months. But was there a way to slow the bleeding at the very least? After all, already straddled in debt, one of the things that AMC did when they had to shut down all their theaters was they told all their landlords they would not be paying rent. They said they were literally on death's door and that they weren't making a cent in income. And I have to wonder if it needed to be that way. Personally, after looking at AMC and what other companies did, I not only think that AMC didn't have to go 8 months without making virtually a single cent, I actually think there were some potentially good ideas that would have really slowed the cash flow problem quite a bit that weren't even considered and probably should have been. For example, Chuck E. Cheese. Now, Chuck E. Cheese is an establishment for kids, has arcades, ball pens, usually a minimum wage worker walking around in a rat costume sometimes. They decided to sell their pizza on Grubhub, sometimes under a different name called Pasquale's, but they tried to sell their pizza and continue to bring some money in even when they couldn't open the doors for birthday parties, which were their bread and butter. Now, it didn't ultimately work. They still had to file for bankruptcy, but the thing is, the thought was there. They at least thought outside the box. In comparison, AMC has some AMC dine-in theaters where they serve burgers, fancy milkshakes, hot sandwiches, and even some alcoholic beverages. I think AMC, and it might not have been a super profitable endeavor, but to keep certain locations working and bringing in something, probably could have done something similar with Grubhub or Uber Eats or Postmates, where you could order food from AMC, including concessions if people wanted AMC popcorn, for example. In fact, many mom and pop movie theaters actually did just this. They opened up and sold candy and popcorn to people who just wanted movie theater popcorn. And I kind of sense that if a mom and pop shop could do this, AMC, which has full-fledged restaurants in some of these movie theaters, I sense they could have done something very, very similar and would have helped slow the bleeding a little. Another thing they could have done would be drive-in theaters. Now, none of these AMC establishments are drive-in theaters as far as I know. But you're reading stories about how Walmart is starting to convert their parking lots into free drive-in movie theaters just to bring people some happiness. Well, while AMC does not own the land for all of their movie theaters, they do lease a lot of properties where they have their own dedicated parking lot. And while I don't believe they would have had a new movie per se to show, they could have identified at some point what movie theaters they had dedicated parking lots to, set up temporary outdoor projectors, and started doing a drive-in movie theater on a limited basis. And again, it would not have solved all their problems, but some money would have come in and it would have kept people coming to their theaters, possibly buying concessions. In fact, they could have even utilized their app so that people would buy a spot in the parking garage, or the parking lot, I should say, buy their snacks, and maybe even have people bring them the concessions and the food to the car right before the movie starts. And it would have been like a movie theater dinner experience, like, one of those live theater shows where you eat dinner while watching the stage production. That could have been this, only in the parking lot as a drive-in theater. But ultimately, I think the biggest thing that AMC overlooked was their AMC Stubs subscription, and how they really could have utilized this. Now, a lot has been made about how Disney lost over $5 billion. And one of the reasons they probably lost a lot more money is because they actually suspended all the annual pass holders' memberships. Well, by contrast, Six Flags didn't lose nearly as much money, primarily because they were able to convince members of their annual passes to keep paying for the annual membership, even though the people couldn't actually use it. In fact, me and my wife have continued to pay for the Six Flags membership because Six Flags offered us things like additional guest passes, additional months on the membership when we decide to cancel. So if we decide to cancel, we have by the time the parks reopen, if we decide to cancel, we will have 8 months that we can use that pass, even if we're not paying for it. Bigger discounts. So, they offered us stuff, and we kind of ultimately decided that it was worth keeping around. Now, AMC Stubs suspended their membership service because movie theaters aren't open, people can't use them. Not only would this maybe not have been necessary had they actually done the drive-in theater experience like I recommended, but what's really strange is that AMC has a streaming site, AMC On Demand, which now is on Roku, thus it is much more readily available. And I think there was a missed opportunity here, and they probably could have figured it out in a couple weeks, where they would send emails to their AMC Stubs members and say, hey, we know the movie theaters are closed, and as a result, if you want to suspend your AMC Stubs membership, we totally understand. However, if you decide to keep the memberships, here's what we're going to offer you. We are going to offer you not 3, but 4 movie rentals a week on AMC On Demand. If you decide to purchase any movies on AMC On Demand or any gift cards with your membership during the pandemic and when the theaters are closed down, you will get 3 or 4 times the points, which means you will, be able to turn those points into gift cards for concessions or other movie tickets when the theaters do open. And in fact, we might even make like a bigger, sweeter deal, because here's the thing. If you stay an AMC Stubs list member, for every $25 gift card you buy, you get $5 extra, and you can add it on top of one another. There were ways that they could actually have used things, and all you had to do to get these deals was to not cancel your AMC Stubs A-list. Now, I know that contracts are, tricky. I don't know exactly what the paperwork looks like with AMC and the movie studios as it comes to AMC Stubs A-list, but I am under the impression that AMC pays the movie studio a certain percentage of the movie ticket, what the movie studios would expect to get. AMC pays that, and AMC makes their money back with concessions. Now, I don't know how profitable that could have been, but since we're talking about rentals, you have to assume that what they would be giving the studios would be far, far less money than what they otherwise would be getting. And so this would not only be not as much of a money losing proposition, even if snacks weren't involved, but you could even conceivably make the case that this might be more profitable because people might not necessarily use all four a week, even if they're in the house. People are watching a lot of Netflix, a lot of Hulu, a lot of Disney Plus. They might not redeem some of their movies, and AMC Stubs A-List might have actually been in the black all throughout the coronavirus pandemic and could have stemmed a lot of the losses. At the end of the day, I'm a little frustrated that there was not more outside the box thinking. I do know that some small mom and pop movie theaters did partner with streaming services so that they could basically advertise movies on streaming platforms, and they would receive a payment or a concession for doing so. But when I look at what like Chuck E. Cheese did to ensure that they were still selling food, even if the birthday parties weren't there, or what Six Flags did, where they still got people to pay for that membership, even though the theme parks aren't even open. I'm looking at AMC, their resources. They have the diners, they have the bars, they have. I mean, they could have been selling their specialty drinks for delivery. I sense there are things that AMC could have done that their CEO Aaron Adam just was not thinking. I think more and more he strikes me as a fairly incompetent person. I don't think he should be running AMC. I think he missed like a lot of opportunities. And again, would AMC be out of trouble had they done this? No, probably not. But here's the thing. It's better to make something than to make nothing, which is pretty much what AMC made for the better part of the year. And I think investors might have been more impressed if some of these outside the box thinking had actually taken place instead of basically just sitting there waiting for, I guess this to just blow over. I mean, I don't know. Just my opinion, of course. Maybe you have a different opinion, but I would like to know what that is. If that is the case, comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.